Good morning.
And welcome. This morning we are so thankful to be here. We are thankful for all that make the gears go around here on a Sunday morning. We are so fortunate. We have a beautiful sanctuary, and we feel the love in the sanctuary today. Thank you, God, and so it is.
Thank you, Judy. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. That's it. Let's get some energy in this room. Yes? I really can't believe that there are more than just me and Karen sitting here with the sun out. So thank you all for showing up. This is a special portion of our service. We call it the Lighting the Flames of Oneness. And our candle lighter today is Zoe's mom, also known as Deb. We're getting excited. Zoe's going to be here in a couple of weeks. And she's speaking, so. Okay. So we are an interfaith gathering, a spiritual community that honors all teachings and all spiritual teachers. So we begin the ceremony that celebrates this oneness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths come from the one universal presence, which we call spirit. So let us begin. Ready? The Tao, honoring the universal my body will show up any minute now. The universal, where were we? Universal presence, which we call spirit. Where was I? Tao. Universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. Shamanic traditions honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of pristine spirituality. Hinduism honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Judaism honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. Buddhism honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. Christianity honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. Islam honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. Of course, New Thought honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And of course, our last candle is the healing candle of love. And we invite you, in the stillness of your own mind, to bring to awareness the names of anyone that you wish to be included in this healing flame of love and of light. And now that our flames of faith are fully lighted, we move forward into our celebration, realizing and reaffirming that all paths lead to God. Thank you, Dad. Our sacred quote today comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It goes by fast. You ready? Get your bloated nothingness out of the way. And allow the divine circuits to flow. Back to our amazing choir. Oh, come on. Let's give it up for these guys. So I'm going to say it again. Good morning. And thank you to the choir. Today is a really special day here at the center. And I'll tell you Why in a minute. But first, every Sunday we kind of say the same thing. We talk about prayer. We talk about being each other's people. Like, if your week isn't so great, you get to reach out and you get to ask for prayer. And you know what? A bunch of us are going to answer you. Now, I know Joan has not had the best week ever, but I know that this crowd, I know that all of you are going to surround her in absolute love as she says goodbye to her mom this week. And Mary shows up every week, doesn't she? Doesn't matter what's going on, but Mary shows up every week, and I know it's not easy, and so we surround Mary with prayer. We have the most amazing speaker today. And today we get to surround her with all of our love. Doesn't that feel good? That's what prayer is about. That's what being here fully present and knowing that there is a power greater than we are, that there is a God, there's a spirit. No matter what word you call that presence, it's right here, right now, in and as each of us. And so if you're somebody who is sitting there going, oh God, she's talking about prayer again. But hey, I could use some. We have 3 different ways, right? So you can tap a practitioner on the shoulder. Before you leave today, I'm going to have the practitioner stand up real quick. Oh my gosh, we've got Cindy Hensley, we've got Dad is here, and Fleming's in the room. We got Karen. Oh gosh, look, turn around, look behind you. You've got Robert, you've got Cynthia George, you've got Tony, you've got Judy, and you've got Bob. Oh my God, we are stuffed with people who can pray for you. So take advantage of them, especially if it's somebody that you don't normally see in the room. The second way would be we have written prayer requests. So I think they're also in the front of the seats. You can write out prayer requests, put it in there. It'll go out to the rest of us. And then the last way is that 3 a.m, we need a prayer, and that is go to our website and send it off. And as soon as you hit that send button, the universe has heard you, and the prayer has started. So prayer, good stuff, yes? Okay, great. Let's see. Oh, I get to talk about announcements, right? Cool. We're having a picnic. I know, it's a complete surprise. We never have a picnic. But this year, it's June 30th, and it's going to be at it's Valley of the Moon. Is this the same place we had it last year? So Valley of the Moon. So before you leave today, please, 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 are the sign-up sheets on the back table? Okay. Sign up for something. Last year, I think we had like 20 pounds of Jell-O. So please, before you leave today, sign up for something other than Jell-O. It's going to be, and as traditional, we'll have our Sunday service, and then we'll head straight over there. So, okay. Our second announcement for today. So this one confused me. I was like, cleanup? We're going to go. I thought Anchorage was looking pretty clean. Hasn't it? Haven't all those companies gone out and cleaned the place up pretty good? So I'm thinking, okay, where are we going to clean up? Apparently, we're cleaning the inside. So bring your vacuum cleaners, bring your claws, bring people who are your friends and who will stay your friends. Show up at 10 a.m. And let's just give this place a good spring cleaning. What do you think? Good? Okay. Then keep our spiritual home homey. Okay, so we have a PayPal account that is called, this is a quiz, what do you think our PayPal account is called? Oh my God, that's what I called it. Yes, Alaska Center for Spiritual Living. So if you're a PayPal kind of person, feel free to utilize that. And then I have one announcement that's not up there. So I already mentioned that Zoe is coming. But you also know that our minister is retiring. And so we are what we're calling candidating. And so in order to candidate, we put together a video that then anybody who's interested in maybe coming and considering becoming our minister gets to look at that video. Well, Zoe is in charge of the video. She didn't react the same way when I told her. But I know the minute she arrives, she's going to have that enthusiastic. And so, but you know how that all happens. I call Zoe up, I give her a job, and then she calls me the next day and gives me my part of it. And so my part of the job is I have to come up with some video footage of all of us doing some different stuff. I'm not sure I can get it together for today, but I really need everyone to come next Sunday because I really need to get some video footage or Zoe will fire me. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be, I'm going to be asking people questions like, what do you like about Alaska, Kaleem? Okay, so I'm gonna move over to this side of the. Yes, one of our most polished, off-the-cuff speakers. We also would like to interview kids. So if you have a child, please bring them. If you don't have a child, just take one from your neighborhood. But please, 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 this filming and how we do it is going to be so vital to how we fill this place in the future. So, okay. I feel like I want to cry because I have known this woman for, 16 years? And she's speaking today. I'm so excited that Karen is speaking today. I want you to know, she doesn't do this very often. This is what, your second time? Maybe third, ever? And so, what do we want to know about? The name of the talk is, I Am So Much More. That describes Karen. Do you know that her official job title is called Instructional Behavioral Specialist? Isn't that what she does with us every Sunday? I mean, are we supposed to be paying her more? But it's so fun to see somebody through different eyes. She's a mom, she's a grandma, and she's an enthusiastic participant in her kids' lives. Do not get between her and a basketball game that her sons are playing. That's what I know. But, she also has a really cute husband. I'm sure that's something that they tell us to talk about. But the other thing that I do know is that every single person in this room can call her a friend. Is that true? Are you guys excited about this? Are you excited to hear what Karen's going to talk to us about today? I am so excited. And not because it's just not me. But, so, I feel blessed.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much for saying yes. Your willingness to just say yes so spontaneously when something else was planned, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Would you be surprised if I told you that this talk started about 3 weeks ago, and in this past week, there have been so many opportunities to practice what was coming forth. I got to celebrate the fact that there was oneness this week when I showed up to something that some of you were invited to also, and the topic was asking about what's the most important thing in life, and it has to do directly with what I was going to be speaking about. And then today, when the song that I was planning, the person got sick, I got to practice all of what is going to be revealed to you. I got to practice all of that because the morning, the focus of the talk, while it says, I am so much more, you are so much more, we are so much more, this morning, the focus of the talk is revealing, healing, and adapting. And so I got to practice all of that. So the original song was going to be by India Ari. How many people have heard the song, I Am Light? I'm light, yes. And so you'll remember, or if you haven't heard of it, the chorus repeats itself many times about, I am light, I am light. And throughout the verses of the song, she talks about that I'm not the things my family did. I'm not the voices in my head. I'm not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am not the mistakes that I've made. I like to use the word with kids and with myself, mistakes, because it is about practice, right? Practice allows us not to be perfect, but allows us to change our brain and the fluidity of our brain. Or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream that I left behind. But then, and she talks about that she's not her race, she's not the color of her skin, she's not the color of her eyes, she's none of those things. And it's true, we are none of those things. She talks about that in the end, I am the divinity defined, I am the divinity divine, I am the divinity defined. You gave me some of that, Linda.
It's all my fault.
Yeah, not really, but. We're one. I'm going to just say we're one. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star. I am a piece of it all. I am light. So how do we remain this light, this spirit, this divinity defined? How do we do that? Especially amongst our humanness. So how many people have had experiences like this? How many of you have bought into false labels? Either that you have imposed on yourself or someone else has imposed on you. How many have identified with identities that have been told to them or have been told to themselves that actually do not align with the spirit on the inside? How many of us react to conditions? For instance, you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off and you either say a word or you do a gesture. That is right. That is reacting to conditions or situations or, right, honk the horn, or people, misinterpretations. How many people go towards the past and wish that they had said something when that mean thing was said to them? They wish they had reacted in a different way. Or they think about the future, something that they have coming up, and they ruminate and think about all the things that can happen to that with worry, and it messes up your digestion, and you're just thinking about all this stuff that could happen, and then it ends up being something that's so easy. I could have done that this morning. I chose not to do that this morning. And what helped me was not to get on my social media this morning. I made sure that I stayed in spiritual practice so that I could keep myself lifted instead of doing what Michael Beckwith I was able to press the pause button because he talks about that sometimes we don't stay in we're not intentional in staying in the now. And if I wasn't going to stay in the now and I was going to distract myself, I wouldn't be. When we distract ourselves, a lot of times other things can come up and it just creates those unwanted feelings, those unwanted emotions. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes we need that Band-Aid. I'm not saying that I don't ever do that. Sometimes I need that, and I'm okay with that because it is the humanness, right? So one of the other things that Michael Beckwith talks about too is that, do you press the pause button, the until button? Like, everything will be okay when I lose weight. everything will be okay when I get that perfect job. Everything would be it would be a perfect day to do the fence if it wasn't raining. But there's other things that you could be doing for the planning of the fence. So there are moments. I don't want to say that there aren't moments that level us. Recently, loss is something that can level us. When my family friends lost a husband and nephews or son in the catastrophic boat that capsized in Seward on May 22nd, that has leveled people. And it's hard to get it out of that humanness because it doesn't fit into the shoulds of life, like the children don't die before parents. And so that's a really much more complicated scenario. And yet, Ernest Holmes tells us the divine plan is one of freedom. The inherent nature of man is ever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom, because freedom is the birthright of every living soul. And I don't think that Ernest Holmes is talking about freedom necessarily in the way that we mean freedom that we talk about in our humanness, that has to do with race and all of the humanness that we've imposed on each other. Maybe it does have a little bit to do with that. But really what he's talking about, I believe, is the freedom of our mind, the freedom of our consciousness, the freedom that we were born into as infants. Like we talk about really that babies are born and they learn. But what if really we were truly free and we had the most knowledge that we could possibly have before we were ever born, when we were the seed? Think about the seed, right? The seed that is planted, knowing what it's going to become, and all its potential. That's what we're working towards before we die, right? Before we transcend into something else. I use before we die because that's the word that we use as humans, but it's so much more than that we don't even know what it is yet. Anyway, freedom allows us to connect with our soul purpose. Right? Our gifts, our talents, all of the things that we have, that we bring into the world, that we offer ourselves before we can offer to others. The oxygen mask first on ourselves. Our healing is a return to truth. It's the deepest truth. It's the perfection of the soul, moving away from the condition, and our truth sets us free and increases our capacity to see more, to be more. And so how can we do this? Well, we have lots of ways here at the Center for Spiritual Living that we talk about, right? Within New Thought, there is meditation. Tony did a beautiful job of a guided meditation today. Like when all of that was happening with the song, with the guided meditation, with Linda coming up and talking about all the different prayers, I'm like, oh, well, this talk is done, really. All this is putting it all together about what's already been said and done. So there's affirmative prayer. Linda talked about that, about how you can receive affirmative prayer. And I love how Kaleem has rebrandished the name to the 1 moment miracle, because I love that. It's not a minute, it's a moment to be present in the now of what it is that you truly want in your life, to pull yourself away from the condition and to know what it is that's truly being revealed. Because if it is bringing you sorrow, if it is bringing you pain, it is not for you. And you are the person who gets to determine that you want to have something else, something better, something wonderful expressing through you. There's many ways to meditate, right? There's also visioning, there's breathing, journaling. Journaling, you can do a gratitude journal, you can do a forgiveness journal. Like maybe there's a lot of things that need to be healed having to do around forgiveness. Forgiving yourself, forgiving others. Whatever it is that you feel that's pulling you down versus uplifting your heart and allowing you to be your fully bright, loving, wonderful selves. that I see all the time. No matter what you're showing up on the outside, I know that we are connected by the heart and we are one, and there is nothing but beauty and wonderfulness and delight and joy that is underneath all of that false body that is just showing up as you. So, healing allows us to come in alignment with our potential for good so we can actualize our good. Spirit, the divine, Allah, whatever name you want to give, he, she, it all works, right? Our good has already been provided. It was already guaranteed for us. It's our birthright. Yet it can only be realized by us. That's the difference between a God that we look at from above to the God that we look at, that we know that's within us, that we are a part of. It is the good that's already been given to us. We just have to say yes. Are you ready to say yes?
Yes.
Yes. Ready to say yes. So as Linda said, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, get your bloated nothingness out of the way and allow the divine circuits to flow. Bloated nothingness are the distractions. Right? It's the conditions. It's the labels. It's all of the stuff that's needing to be revealed or already is being revealed. And through practice, the habit of the mind, we can get ourselves to the place of knowing exactly what it is that we want to have showing up so we can be our full selves, our sole purpose that we can bring to others. Our brains are adaptable. Have you ever heard of that word, neuroplasticity? Yeah. It means that our brains are flexible. They're never ending, no matter what age we are. There are no excuses. The brain can be reconditioned and can be realigned at any time. We just have to say yes. Your willingness to say yes. So in conclusion, I invite you to either start, reboot, refresh, or continue with your spiritual practices, whatever that may be. Outside, there are so many ways to meditate. It doesn't have to be quiet. Whatever way works for you, an affirmative prayer, it really works. Be intentional to reach the highest altitude through revealing, healing, and adapting. You may live your sole purpose. You just got to say
yes.
Here you go. So as we move into prayer, and take that deep breath. As we move into this beautiful day, this day of sunshine, this day of living, this day of revealing, this day of knowing that conditions do not define us. For we have said yes to this now moment, and we can say yes and yes and yes ever and ever and ever again. Saying yes to perfect health. Saying yes to love. Saying yes to fluidity. Fluidity that comes in the form of abundance, that comes in the form of truth, that comes in the form of revealing and healing and knowing our sole purpose. I'm so delighted in this knowingness, and I give thanks for each person in this room or that comes to hear this, knowing that when we step into our truth, we are giving so much more, not only to ourselves, but to the world. And I'm so grateful, Spirit, for this knowingness. So grateful for each person that I come in contact with today. And I know that each of you are also grateful. as we release this prayer, knowing that it is absolutely so. Please join me in affirming, and so it is.
Right? Right? Okay. Yes. And so now we get to practice another spiritual practice of circulation, where we get to take whatever it is that we would like to offer back into this amazing spiritual center, and we put it on our hearts. Give you each a moment. Hey, Judy.
I showed up.
You showed up. Okay, so before we do the affirmation, I dreamt I was a muffler last night.
Midas.
No, but I did wake up exhausted. Thank you. Thank you. This is weird. What's the difference between 0 and 8?
7.
A belt. 0 and 8. 0.
Oh, 8.
0.
0. 8. The weight.
I don't get it either.
Did I tell you I dreamt I was a muffler last night?
Midas.
And so even though we celebrate each other in here, I just want to also just say a quick hi to those who have joined us online. Hey, Heather, did you hear the announcement? Anyways, so please join me in our affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, and so it is. Thank you. So, in closing today, standing in our spiritual practices, let's ponder what's most important in life. What is revealing? What needs healing? And how do we adapt? Because we are not the broken stuff inside. We are not the pieces of a dream that have been left behind. For we are pieces of the light, which means that we are the stars. Please help me anchor this by saying, and so it is.